some very insightful issues relating to coastal tourism, and I'm sure we'll work on that. And thank you for bringing out Urmara. I listed that as one of my comments. The other thing which I want to talk about is the 5 A's he has talked about. There is world-class airport at Gwadar now. The airport at Urmara is jet capable, so all kinds of jets can fly there. There is obviously Turbat Airport, which is again more than 10,000 feet runway, so all kinds of aircraft can go there. And similarly, the road infrastructure to Gwadar from Turbat and coastal highway. So all in all, the attractions at the coastal sites are hugely accessible. Understandably, the amenities are not as much. The infrastructure with respect to adventure is not fully developed, but still there is plenty that you can do. For this panel discussion for 15-20 minutes which we have, I would like to involve the audience and put the house so that they can ask questions to our eminent panelists. And let me start by identifying Vice Admiral Ahmed Saeed, who is the Director General of National Institute of Maritime Affairs, one of the premier institutes relating with research in the maritime sector. So if you have a comment or a question, I'll be happy to take that. And then the audience at the back or anywhere, please feel free, identify yourself, and I'll be happy to take questions. And
sir, if with your permission, and sir, I just want to elaborate. Once I was saying about accessibility, most of the people, they have affordability and they want to save time. Unfortunately, we do not have any air connectivity for the time being. PIA is the only operator, and with these 2 ATRs, only one is operational, and that is, sometimes in the north for Gilgit, and sometimes it is there only for a limited time. So there is a huge potential for a small airlines, something like tourism promotion airline, to work in the southern region as well. But again, unfortunately, out of the 4 airlines which were granted license back in 2020, none has been able to be operational so far because of the policy constraints. Thank you.
Thank you. Ji, go.
Ji, sir, thank you very much for...
And may I request everyone to please be brief?
Sir.
But I'll give you 2 minutes.
Sir, thank you very much. I really appreciate Sanober for taking this time and on a very important topic, for the reasons that economically, as you said, that 10% of the total world GDP is from the trade and tourism. So that is about 10 to 11 trillion, and of which 80% is from the ocean and coastal tourism, for which this panel is given a lot of good, I think, suggestions. I think I would say one of the things which we have been traveling around, and that is change of mind of the public. When we land in any of the tourist area, till we go back, entire society is glued, and in a way they support a tourist as a guest, personal guest. So that is a change of mind I think we need to acquire and train as a nation, that tourism is a thing for which we, as a nation, we have to glue up, train the people, infrastructure, and on the lighter side, when we said the attraction, and sir was saying, I think the attraction which Dr. Rohan on one of his slides he has given, it is for the tourists. So we have to be specific in attractions for the tourist. Thank you.
Please identify yourself.
I am Zafrullah Siddiqui. I am Professor Tourism and Hospitality Management. Formerly, I was MD PTDC and retired as a Joint Secretary. My question is, we keep talking about the demand, creating demand, but we conveniently forget and overlook the supply side. Aajkal modern tourism is based on creating facilities. We spoke about access, accommodation, and accessories and amenities. So we are ignoring the supply side. We don't have a single tourism resort except Malam Jabba or PC Bhurban, they could be called as tourism resort. So unless we create a Shangri-La in Iskardu. So supply side, we have to pay attention, attract investment by providing them attractive monetary and fiscal incentives so that enabling environment is created and tourists are attracted. I can give you example of Dubai and Saudi Arabia, how they are creating tourist facilities to promote tourism. So if there is any opinion or any answer to that, why we are silent on that side? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very interesting question. See, there is a structured way in which tourism can be built, and there is also the organic way that it can be built. Now, what I have seen, sir, in the last 5 to 7 years is that if you allow the organic way to work, where your job is about saying, I'm not an authority, but tourism belongs to every single Pakistani. You will see the industry booming. 2 examples I'll give you. Number 1 is in Sri Lanka, where everything we were thinking about infrastructure development, why don't we get hotels to come and set up? But what we did was, we moved the whole thing to the people of Sri Lanka and said, you develop the tourism industry. And today, homestays, villas are booming. There's one villa in the south of Sri Lanka, in Dikwella, 1 day cost is $14,300. Last week, actually, I'm shy to say this when I was being past chairman of tourism, that I didn't know, but last week I was in the judging panel for all these tourism guys in Sri Lanka, and when this person came and said it's $14,300, I just thought to myself, you give the people the responsibility, it builds. I'll give you a second example, which is in Maldives. Now, Maldives has structured tourism, which is 176 rooms. The company that I work for, we are associated with tourism development in Maldives. In 2021, after the COVID, the government had a problem because poverty was zooming. So what they did was, they said, Maldives, you build the tourism industry. And today, there's 14,380 guest houses as against the 176 resorts. Now, it's a serious issue. I was their keynote speaker last time at the conference, and I told them, guys, please be careful because your imagery is on resorts and luxury. You can't have guest houses which charge only $60 coming in when normally it's $3,500, $4,000 a room. But the government is helpless because they're saying poverty has been addressed. That is how it's evolving. I can't stop it now. So what I see in Pakistan, from what I saw today, this industry can be $10 billion. Currently you're at 1.6 billion. But it has to be empowered to the people. Like what Sir was saying, you have to make sure that the connectivity is right so that you can bring the people can come in here. Because there's no point in us saying we have such a beautiful country if there's no way to come in. So you have to make sure that the funnel is big enough for the people to come and give it to the people, just like what we saw in Sri Lanka and Maldives. Pakistan will be 10 billion. Thank you.
Thank you. Short answer,
Sir, I
please.
would just like to add that unfortunately, tourism is not technically a declared industry in Pakistan so far. Last year, for the first time, we have been able to have a special SRO which defined certain areas or items which where we got some relief. If we can have a special economic zone and special technology zones where we have 10 years or 20 years rebate on import and taxation, in the tourism sector, where the infrastructure development is cost intensive, we have investor wants to see his ROI. So unless you give them that kind of secured continuity of policy, first we should have a policy, then continuity of policy, and then an assurance that he or she would have a good ROI. This Zever PC, it has been there for almost 3 decades now, and it has never been fully operational. It is in loss, and they are just affording it at the cost of certain other properties elsewhere in Pakistan. So how can you, lure even a domestic, what to talk about foreign direct investment? So that is the challenge. Thank you.
Thank you. Obviously, there are issues, especially with respect to Balochistan, the acquisition of land. उन्होंने बात की, चंगेज़ साहब ने 10. Ali, we have last 2 minutes, and Faisal Shah, who has been in Gwadar, so please make a short comment or question, and then we have the Air Commodore. Sir, थोड़ी सी इजाज़त, because lunch. You guys are holding us for lunch, so please be.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Such an educating session, but for the benefit of House, I want to chip in something out of my own experience, sir.
Yeah.
Very rightly said that until and unless we have local tourism developed, we incentivize our own people to visit these places, we cannot expect foreigners to come over here. You gave the example of Turkey. I give you the example of Iran. Not many foreigners visit Iran, but even then 5 to 6% of their GDP is from tourism. So we need to incentivize people. And when we incentivize our own people and we create coastal tourism, 2 things will happen. One, the local economy will be generated. That will help our own economy, and the security will also improve. And how? That is, I'm going to actually explain. First, that the places will be crowded. And we all know that crowded places are more secure than the isolated ones. They are not, isolated places are more vulnerable to activities by the miscreants. So we need to make places crowded. And second, if you analyze the terrorist incidents that have happened in Balochistan, you must have observed that these miscreants, they don't hurt the locals. They don't do anything that hurts the local interest. That is a handicap with them. We need to use that handicap to our benefit. If we employ locals in this industry, the terrorists will automatically be handicapped. So we need to work on that. And one thing, unfortunately, less than 1% Pakistanis have visited our coastal areas. People even don't know how is Pakistan coastline, how it is divided. We have one coastline, but we have 2 coasts, Makran coast and Sindh coast. And we have not been able to talk about Sindh coast even in this session. We just don't take it into account as a coast or as tourist destination. It has 5th largest mangrove in the world. It has the rarest honey in the world. It has a special breed of camels called Kharai camels who swim across the creeks, big vast creeks, and sustain on saline vegetation. It has mudfish. It has religious tourism going on inside our creeks area along our eastern coast, but perhaps there is lack of awareness. Thank you.
Okay, the last word, Air Force.
So thank you very much. Though retired from the Air Force, but after retirement, I had headed an airport private ground handling company. So I would like to link aviation with the tourism and also make a comment about Pakistan Tourism Development Corporation. The 2 corporations, that is the federal as well as the provincials, I'll just say simple that these are the graveyards of tourism development. Okay, now connecting in aviation, that most of the areas which are not approachable easily due to landsliding, things like that in the northern areas, and also towards the southern side. The roads are difficult and then they are not so secure. So I think we should have domestic airlines which should be given some tax rebate or tax holiday, that we should start the tourism destinations within country and from international also. I believe 1 or 2 people, one of them is my friend, he consulted me and then he took a license also for establishing a tourism airline. But when he calculated the finances, he came to know that because of the taxes, government taxes, the civil aviation taxes, the airport taxes, it will not be sustainable. So in fact, to give them a good start, we should give them firstly declare the domestic tourism aviation as an industry and give them a tax holiday for about 5 years. After that, when they have established, then they can come into the natural groove. So that's a little comment, and I won't like to stay in between you and the lunch. Thank you.
Thank you, audience, and please give a big round of applause to all three panelists for a wonderful contribution.